Okay, so let's start. I hope my screen is visible and I'm audible.
Yes, Abhishek.
Perfect. So basically, yes. So yesterday, regarding this concept of CV preparation and all those things, we understood, generally how do we actually prepare CVs, and how do we actually, we should, what is the approach we have to follow to go for CV preparation? I mean, interview preparation generally. So let me open the PPT. Yeah. So as discussed, we have done all the understanding about this. Generally the basic idea. What are the general tips we have to follow? How do you build a strong resume? How do you improve? What kind of projects we should have in your portfolio? How do you work with your Naukri and Indeed profiles, and how do we manage that every day, and how do we deal with that, and also how do we look for the professional connection in LinkedIn, and how do we get it? Okay. And also we discussed about this checklist. I just gave you the checklist of LinkedIn, GitHub, and also some this best practices for this, so you can just go through this. Now, in today's session, in today's main goal or main agenda for today is to discuss. So once, so whatever we have discussed yesterday is about how to get an interview call. Okay, once you're done with all your preparation, how do we, you know, be unique and stand yourself in this competition and get an interview call, at least interview call up to the interview. So after getting the interview call, now it's your job to start with, to, enhance and to, perform well in the interview. So as we discussed yesterday, now generally when you say interviews, it also depends upon the type of company you're applying for or type of company you're working, you're trying for. Generally, if you're trying to apply for an intern role, maximum for an intern role, if you are going for an intern role, maximum you'll be having 2 rounds, maximum 2 rounds, not more than that. Sometimes it can be only 1 round. Sometimes you might have 2 rounds. But if you are going for a junior developer role, right, you might have around 3 to 4 rounds, generally 3 to 4 rounds. Okay. And for a senior developer also, maybe 3 to 4 rounds, depending upon the company. Okay. Now coming to the intern role, when you are applying for an intern role, so maybe first round might be kind of a telephonic round, right? Telephonic round where you get a call first and they'll do an initial screening. They'll understand about yourself. So I just, showed you this. Sorry.
అక్కడ వాళ్ళ ఇంటి దగ్గర ఎదురుగా ఒక షాప్
Sorry,
ఉంటుంది దాంట్లో
if you are not speaking, if you don't have any doubts, please mute your microphones, guys. Please mute your microphones. Okay, let's continue. Yeah. So when you say, okay, telephonic round, you might have something like this, questions like this. You tell me, but this is only like initial know about yourself. Like, they'll just want to know about yourself. So they might ask you, like, tell me a bit about yourself. Why do you want to be a data scientist? Or, tell me about your project, what you have done. And some project related questions they might ask you. That will be the initial screening round. Okay, the initial screening round. And the second round will be mostly a face-to-face round. Okay, face-to-face round. And before this, depending upon the company, they might also give you a task actually. But if you are going for a junior role, you can have something like this. First, you can have a telephonic round, okay, or a simple call. And second round can be a task for you. Okay, they might give a task for you. That's how I've seen many companies doing. Okay, they'll give a task as a second level of training screening. So in this task, what they do is they give you, and in intern role, mostly you might not get a task, but it can be also after face-to-face round. Maybe they might give a small task. It depends again. It depends from company to company. But yeah, let's assume like this. Yeah, so you'll get a task. So in this task, your main goal is to perform this task. Now, what kind of tasks you can get? Now, what kind of tasks you can get generally in interviews? Now, you can get a task on Python, a simple Python. They might give you one question to solve this using Python programming. Now, if they give any task through Python programming, then the task max to max, it will be you will be getting 1 day of time, like half day to 1 day of time. You should submit in half day to 1 day of time. But now because of this, this chat GPT and everything, they also know that you can do this task using chat GPT or something like this. If they give some simple Python task, if they give some simple Python task, they also know that you can, get the code here directly. So now what happens is maybe they might not give the Python task directly here as a task, but they might also give task related to some, analysis. They might give some data analysis based task. So they'll give you a data and ask you to analyze the data, pre-process the data, and maybe you have to build the model on top of that. So a simple use case they'll give you. Okay, as they might give a simple use case where you should perform. Depends. They might give you a task related to some data analysis or related to some model building or related to some basic basic uh, some SQL also, some SQL based task, something like that. They might give you any of these tasks you can get depending upon type of role you're applying. Okay, they might give you a sample data set and they might ask you to pre-process this data set and do some data analysis and do some model building. So whatever you have learned in your regular sessions, you should use that knowledge. Whatever you're learning in the project sessions, you have to use that knowledge, and you have to implement these tasks. Okay, you have to implement this kind of tasks. Like it can be a data analysis task, or you can get a model building task or a SQL task, something like that. Okay, so this kind of tasks you can get. Okay, that is your second step. Okay, second step. Now once you submit, and of course there will be some timeline. So depending upon the task, you might have a timeline. Like it can last from half a day to 3 days, 4 days also task. Once you're done this task and submit, then obviously third round will be maybe a face-to-face round. Okay, face-to-face round. Okay, so I'm just giving a generalized example, but in real time companies can follow different procedure also. Maybe they might not have telephonic round, directly they give task and then face-to-face, or first they have face-to-face and then task. It can be interchangeable, but ultimately that's the generalized structure generally they follow. Now, in the face-to-face round, obviously, we will discuss about face-to-face round only today, how to handle this, but it will be something like this. And you can have multiple face-to-face round means obviously it is nothing but you might have, it is obviously technical rounds. These all are technical rounds. And it is like, technical rounds, face-to-face round also, it can have more than one. So you can have two technical rounds. You can have two technical rounds or three technical rounds. Again, it depends. Unless they are satisfied, they'll just go on keeping these rounds, technical rounds, and then maybe the last round might be some kind of HR discussion and everything. This is on a basic. This is what how this works. Okay. Again, these technical rounds can be anything. In these technical rounds, only the different level, different people levels of people will join. Maybe initially, some senior developers will join, and maybe further team leaders, or CEO, or or the director, or the higher management will join for to the further technical rounds. Your hierarchy will be changing according to the more technical rounds. Right. In the senior also same thing. Similar structure is followed in senior, but the level of questions will be obviously different. Okay, and the task also will be slightly more complex, slightly more complex task. They might give you slightly more complex task, and also in a face-to-face round, they might be more complex questions asked. Okay, more detailed in detailed questions they'll go into. And obviously the fourth will be HR as usual here also. HR discussion, that is common in everywhere. That is small, that is simple. Now coming to the task. Okay, coming to the task, as I told you, the task can be anything. So whatever project experience you're gaining in our weekends when we are doing, or in our regular session, that is, that will be mostly enough to do this kind of tasks, because similar thing only will be, I mean, you will be doing the similar thing itself. Like you'll be you'll whatever they gave them, mostly they might give you a data analysis based project or Python based project, or they might ask you to build a model uh, on top of a data set, something like that. Okay, so I have few examples of some tasks. I'll share that with you. Okay, so you can use that an example to understand how exactly you can get this kind of tasks. Means what kind of tasks generally you get when given a for interview, for an interview kind of thing, what kind of tasks you can generally get. Okay, so let me get some examples for you. Hmm, let me get examples. Some examples I'm having for tasks. You can just, I mean, you can just look at this one for the understanding further. Okay. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. This is one of the company's task. Okay, which I'm showing you right now. Uh, One example. Okay, this is a Python task. Okay, this is a Python task. Okay, so here for this you need a bit of NumPy and Python based knowledge. Okay, to do this. So this is for a mid-level experienced person. Mid-level, not exactly fresher, not completely fresher, or not senior, a mid-level person. Maybe 1 year, 2 year experienced person, 2 year experienced person's assignment kind of thing. Okay, so I'm sharing in the chat. Okay, whenever you have free time, you can work on this. I mean, you can check out this how to implement this task. Okay, but this is a task generally. Okay, so you just try out first in your free time, and if at all, if you're not able to get it, let me know. I will help you in this. I'll help you in getting this output. But this is one example for a initial 1 year 2 year experience guy, what task they can give. Okay, one example task of what task they can give. Okay, now for a fresher tasks, if you ask me, I'll just, share that also with you. What kind of tasks generally it is expected for a fresher, right? What kind of tasks we expect for a fresher, you know? Yeah. So, so I'm giving some list of, tasks here. Okay. This is for a fresher role. Okay. This is assignment. Okay. This is the one. Wait, I didn't copy it properly. Right. Okay. Okay. Very second one, yeah. So you can see two questions. This is one example assignment. Okay, I'm sharing that also. You can do it whenever you're having free time, or I'll be sharing these notes. Actually, I'm not able to share in Zoom, so I'll just share in the notes for you. Okay, in your free time, you can just check it out. Fine. Okay, this is one task, Python assignment, and it is a simple one. Okay, you can just look into that. And This one example. Let me see if I could have one more example. Okay, these are the questions generally we give. Let me check if I could find any. Yeah, if I could find any more, I'll just add in a drive. So you can just go through that questions, what kind of, tasks we can expect. This is the tasks generally you might get. Okay, so I will share more here, more later on. But yeah, that is the idea. You will basically get these kind of tasks when you're basically, looking for an interview. Similar task, you know, I'm not telling this is the task, but similar kind of tasks you can get. Okay. And the projects, whatever projects we're implementing, na, similar kind of project example you'll be getting and asked to write the code and all those things for that. Now, once you're done with the task and once you're successfully completed the task, the second one will be the face-to-face round. Now, what exactly happens in a face-to-face round? Okay, technical round, we can say. Okay, it can be anything for an intern, for a senior, junior, whatever role you're applying for. Technical round is common, right? Technical round is common. So, what happens in a technical round generally, right? So, basically, guys, in a technical round, first they will plan to check your skills end to end, starting from basic Python skills, from Python skills, okay, from Python skills to your skills in statistics, in ML, in DL, and depending, again, it depends upon the role you're applying, and deployment. Now, see, again, if the role doesn't need DL, maybe they might not ask you about DL, or if the role doesn't need about much about deployment. I mean, deployment is optional. This is optional for a junior, or optional for a intern role. Maybe for senior, they'll just ask you like what kind of deployment frameworks you have used and all those things. This is the major things where they test out of. Okay, Python, statistics, ML, DL, and option, and this one deployment. Now let's start with Python. Okay, let's start with Python discussion. So in Python, guys, they start with basics, obviously. Again, depending upon the role. If you're going for senior role, maybe they don't start with basics directly. But if you're going for a junior or intern role, obviously you will be asked for basic questions. Now, what are the basic questions generally they ask? So here you can see, I already have a list of questions. You can see. So you can go through these questions. We'll see these questions, and this type of questions they might ask you. For example, what are the different data types in Python? Now, how do you answer this? Anyone? What are the different data types in Python? If I ask you, what are the different data types? They might ask you like this. What are the different data types you have used in Python? What are the different data types you have used in Python? Different data types you have used in Python. What will be your answer? Tell me. Anyone? Yeah, int, float, string, right? String, of course, list, boolean, all other different data types you have used in Python. Okay, fine. Dictionaries, obviously. What are the variables in Python? What is a variable in Python? You can see these are very basic questions. What is a variable in Python? What is a variable in Python? How do you define a variable? What is a variable? Yes, a variable is something which stores the data, temporary storage, we can say, right? A variable which stores your data in a temporary element, okay? A memory location, yes, which stores something, which stores your information, correct? Okay, fine. That is enough, more than enough. And you can say it's temporary memory. Once you're done executing, it will close. Okay. And this is the most asked interview question, guys. This one, the third one, is it is asked many places because they just wanted to know how good are you in the data structure. So they'll ask you, what is the difference between list and tuple? So what is your answer on this? What is the main difference between list and tuple? Yes. So you can use these keywords actually better. You can say list is mutable, tuple is immutable. Means what? Once you create a list, you can change it whenever you want. You can add elements or remove elements. But tuple, we cannot add or we cannot remove elements. Okay. This is an important question you will get. And what is a dictionary in Python? What is a dictionary in Python? What is dictionaries? Yes, whichever it is a type of data structures. It is a type of data structure which stores the data in a key value pair, right? So if you are storing the data in a key value pair, it is called as a dictionary, correct? Fine. Next. What is the difference between set and list in Python? What is the difference between set and list in Python? Anyone? What is the difference? Oh, yes, list allow duplicates and set will not allow duplicates. Correct. And set is a, you know, list is ordered. Yes. Next. Next. Any other difference? Yes. Then does set allows immutable elements? Does set allows mutable elements? Sorry. Does set allows mutable elements? This kind of question you can get. Does set allows like mutable elements? No. List will allow mutable elements. You can have mutable elements inside list. And where exactly set is used for? And where exactly you will use list? This kind of question you can get. When do you use list and when do you use set? In which cases you can use list? Which all cases you can use set and which all cases you can use list? Okay, you cannot change order. Okay, fine. Next, any other answers? Uh-huh. Okay. 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 Correct. Yes. So basically, set is used when you want first thing when you want to have something which is not allowing duplicates. Okay. To avoid duplicates, you can use set. And second thing is to allow set based operations. When you say set based operations, if you want to implement intersection or difference or union or the symmetric difference, all these operations you can do with set. So these using if you want to perform any of these operations with your data structure, set is a good option. Like for example, in general, you want the intersection of two data structures, then the good option is to store the data structure in a set because you can get it. Okay, or if you want the difference between two data structures, then you can use set. So personally, I use set in for that. So you can tell that. So you can tell that I've used set for these cases, like that. Okay, and list in generalized. Whenever you want to have group of elements, you can use list. When you want to have group of elements in a which is allowing duplicates, you can use list. But set is something which is having group of elements without duplicates. And also when you want to use some specialized set operations, basically we learned about set theory in schooling now. What is set theory? Set theory will have all these kinds of operations like intersection, union, and all those things. So if you want to use specialized operations, you can use set. Okay, that is one thing. I hope it makes sense. Next, you might also have get this question, follow-up question on dictionary, like are dictionaries mutable? Is dictionary mutable? Is dictionary mutable? Yes, it is mutable. Yes, means we can add a key value pair, we can remove key value pair, so it is mutable. Yes. So this kind of question. Next, what is difference between a function and a method? What is the difference between a function and a method? When do we say it's a function or when do we say it's a method? When do we say it's a function? When do we say it's a method? Okay. Anyone else? Correct. Correct. That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. Correct. 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 So this is also most as interview question, guys. Means they will test you your OOPS concepts, means the object-oriented programming skills here. Okay, this is a test for your object-oriented programming skills. So whenever you define a function inside a class, it is called as a method, right? Whenever you write a function inside a class, we call it as a method. So a method is something which will call using an object. Okay, using some object instance of a class. So if you write a function inside a class, or a method is something which belongs to inside a class. Okay, function inside a class, which is called through an object. Whereas function is something which is a series of steps, series of procedure, a block of code, we can say a block of code which performs some tasks, a series of steps which is outside the class. Okay, so whenever it is outside the class, we can call it as a function, and we can call the function directly. Whereas method should be called, means you can reusable, and it is on own, like there is no need of any object here. But method is something which is associated with a class, right, with an object. Okay, that is the main differences. Okay, so this will be helping them to understand your you know this one, your OOPS concept skills. Okay, next, how do you define a function in Python? I guess it's very easy for you. Of course, you can use this one and you can get it. Okay, fine. Now, what are the different types of arguments in function? This is also very important. What are the different types of arguments in Python functions? What is the different types of arguments in functions? I mean, different types of arguments. Yes, default argument. Default argument. Very good. Next, positional argument. Correct. Positional argument. Keyword argument. Very good. Keyword argument. Next. Next. Default, position, keyword, variable length argument, and keyword variable length argument. Okay. Variable length argument, which is also called as args, and quags. Yes. Keyword variable length argument, quags. Right. So default argument, positional argument, keyword argument, variable length argument, like keyword variable length argument, different types of arguments in Python functions. Okay, default, position, keyword. So what is default? If you're having a default value, it is called as default arguments. And positional argument, if you are representing your arguments with respect to these positions, it is called as positional. If you're representing with the keywords, you'll say a is equal to something, right? That is keyword argument. Variable length means star. Whenever you're representing star, like star indicates variable length, right? Means you can have any length, have any length. And double star indicates keyword variable length argument, which is indicating you can have any variable length with keywords. Okay, so these are the different types of arguments. I hope you get this. Next, what is lambda function in Python? What is lambda function in Python? What is lambda function in Python? Okay. Tell me your understanding on that. I mean, I'm asking you. Okay, you're saying some Wikipedia definition kind of thing, but how did you use lambda function? Or what? In which case you have used lambda function? What is lambda function actually? Okay. So we can say, if you want, can I say in a simple statement like this? Um, uh, a function with only one statement, one line statement. okay, which is having for a specific task, someone told specific task, a one line statement, a one line. If you want to return something in one line or one line statement, can I call it as a lambda function? Yes, right, right. And they might ask you, okay, fine, lambda function is this. So whatever statement you told is fine, but you can make it more simpler. Okay, a one line statement, a one line operation. Someone told, Saikiran told, correct. One line operation. If you want to create a one line operation or one line statement, okay, that can be a lambda function. Okay, no need to tell the Wikipedia definition of that. Whatever you understand, whatever you have used. Okay, define for a task for single line. Correct, Chandra. We can do that. Okay. Now tell me, what is the syntax of lambda function? How do you define a lambda function? They might ask you this also. How do you define, what is the syntax of lambda function? What is the syntax of a lambda function? Yes. Lambda is the keyword. First, you can have the function name, right? You can have the function name, correct? So let me do one thing for you guys. I'll just try to copy this, and whatever notes I'm writing, I'll just try to, you know, write it here for you, such that it will be easy. Yeah, fine. Yeah. So what I'm saying here, where is this? So how do you define the lambda function? You'll define like this now. Function name, that is, it can be x or something, is equal to no, lambda, and here you'll be having some arguments, colon expression. That's it. You can define your function like this, lambda function. Now, if they ask you some example of lambda function, they might ask you, okay, give me some one example of where exactly you have used lambda function. You can say this. I've used lambda function for sorting some elements. One example I'll show you right now. For example, if you're having, uh, I'll just show you one example. Okay. So imagine you're having something like this. Okay, I'm opening a Python shell. Imagine you're having a list something like this. Okay, 1 comma -1 comma, 2 comma 3. Next, 4 comma -5. Okay. So now if you want to sort this based on the second element, not based on first element. If you just apply normal sort, it will apply based on second element. Sorry, first element. Okay. Yeah, sorted. You should use sorted function, and it will be applying based on the first element. But if you want to do it based on second element, if I want to use second element, like, I want to sort this based on second element, then what happens? -5 will come first, then -1 will second come next, and then 3 will come next, right? So how do we do that? You can mention like this: sorted of, here there is a comma, you can mention key is equal to, you can give a lambda function here. You can just simply say lambda of x colon x of 1. So by making like this, see, first thing, key is nothing but it's a variable which tells us, okay, what you want to sort by. See, by default, key will be for the first variable. So now what you're doing, you're saying, okay, key, you're saying that you sort by second element. So you're giving each and every, x is nothing but each and every list item, and you're saying that x of 1 means second element. So now what happens? You can see it is sorting based on second element. So now you can see you're getting 4 -1 first, then 1 -1 thus. This is one example of lambda function. Like that, there are multiple examples. If you want to find out minimum of second element, then you can do this. Then also you can do this, right? The minimum of second element. Now, if I don't mention this lambda, you'll get this. The minimum value is 1 -1 because you're getting the minimum first element. But if I want to get the minimum second element, you can get like that. You can use for multiple places. And also you have used lambda in your pandas also, many places, if you remember. In pandas also, we have used for handling regex patterns and everything. So that also you can mention. Okay. Next, what is decorator in Python? Decorator in Python. Slowly you're getting to medium level. Okay. These are the basic questions. Now, what is decorator in Python? Have you used decorator previously? Decorators previously? Decorators, anyone? No. Okay. So basically, guys, decorators are the specialized functions actually. I mean, how do you write decorators means? So if you want to run a function on top of other function, okay, when you want to run a function on top of other functions, you'll use decorators. Okay. So have you ever, seen this example where, you have seen at the rate in Python, at the rate or something like that on top of a function? On top of function, have you seen any kind of example where you see at the rate on top of that or something like that? Okay. So that is called as decorator basically. That is called as decorator. So let me show you. So I'll just say def some random function. I'll say, okay, just say, display some random function called as display. Okay. And, and here I'll just simply say print test. Okay. I'll just print some random test. Now here, if you have one more function, okay, imagine you're having one more function, and in this function, imagine you want to send a display as the input here. Okay, I'll say display to, and here you'll take one function as input, one function itself as an input here, and return display, return the function output, return the function output, return the function output, or take the function output, take this function output and do something here. Maybe let's assume here in this, you're doing some add. Okay. And imagine in this function, you're doing a 2 plus 3, some random, only to understand, to make you understand, I'm taking this and I'll just say return A, return A. And maybe let's assume here it will just take this and print it, print this function output. So now what you're doing, if you observe carefully, you're having two functions, one is add and one display. Now what you're doing here is this display will take this function and print that function. Okay, and add function will add it, add two numbers. Now what I will do is I'll just simply say display of add. Now what it is doing? Okay, it is printing the function. Okay, it is printing the function output. Now if you want to use this particular function, you have to obviously use function dot, we'll do that one we'll focus on. But what you're doing is you're adding, you're calling one function inside other function, right? You're sending display to inside display, I mean inside function. So this is the general things which you generally do. Okay. Now what we can do here is, okay, means you're calling a function on top of other function. Okay, you're calling a function on top of other function, right? Now this one, if you want to use in a different way, you can have decorators. Okay, you can have decorators. Means what? For example, here you're having this. Now maybe what you can do is you can just simply say, let's call, on top of this display to, on top of this display to, I'll just call the decorator add. So I will just add like this, add decorator, or on top of this add, I'll just display this. Okay, display this, display to on top of this. So this at the rate indicates your decorator. Okay, at the rate indicates decorator. So what this at the rate will do is it will call this function on top of this, means it will send this function as an input to this. Okay, it will send this. Now how are you sending this add function inside this particular function? Similarly, it will send this display to on top of this. Now what is the use of this? What is the use of this means? See, when you want to combine two functions, and if you want to do some operations with respect to functions, then basically we will use this operation. Okay, we'll be using this one. Okay, so let's see how can we do this now. Let me do one thing. Yes, you're getting now. You can see, guys, this code is equal to this code. Okay, this code is equal to this code. Now you're printing the function. Okay, now you're printing the function. Maybe I will return. Okay, I'll do something with this. I will do something with this function. Don't worry what I'll be doing. That is my next job. But I will do something with this. So this code, this one is equal to this. Okay, this one is equal to this. Now what I will do is I will, where is this add? Chalo. So now what I will do maybe in display function, I will write one small example bit. Okay, so what I will do is maybe I will say, basically when you're working with internal functions, you should write a small internal wrapper kind of thing. So we should write a wrapper. So I'll just say def wrapper. We should write a wrapper for this, and here you will just take empty and you will just simply say print function. Okay, you should write a wrapper here and just I'll say print the function output. Just okay. Now what happens? Observe here. So now you're calling display to function on this, and finally return, or you can say return the wrapper. Return the wrapper. Okay. Finally, yeah. So now it is printing the wrapper result, and it will just call the function on top of this. Now what we'll do is whatever function output we'll be getting right now in this add function, we will try to do something like this. We'll say x is equal to some 2 into function output, something like that I'll do. Okay, 2 into some function output. Okay, and return the x. Return the x, and you're returning the wrapper here. Okay, so something is missing. Just a second. Wrapper function. Oh, sorry, that is a problem. Now call the add function. See, now you're getting 10. See, now you're getting 10, but 2 plus 3 is not 10. 2 plus 3 is 5, but you're getting 10. So what you're doing here is you're calling this function on top of this function. That is what we are actually doing right now. So this is what the decorator is. What is decorator does is, given a function, if you want to call one more function, one more steps on top of this, you will add a decorator like this. Now in decorator compulsory, we should have a wrapper inside decorator. Whenever you're creating a decorator function, you should have compulsory a wrapper. And what is wrapper do is, it will take this particular function, do some operations on that. So now what is the output of this function? Add 5. Now what I am doing, I'm multiplying 5 to 2, and you'll get x, and you'll return the x and wrapper. Now the advantage of this is you can call this function on top of any function. Now you apply a function called as multiply. Okay, multiply. Now I want to apply this particular, maybe I'll say this display to, instead of calling it as display to, I'll just say make 2 times. Okay, I'll call this function as make 2 times. Okay, make 2 times, and I'll just use this everywhere. Now single function I'm trying to use 2 times, make 2 times. Now if I say multiply, if I'm using multiply operation here, okay, and if I call multiply also, I can basically add. So you can see here I'm getting 12. So it is getting 2 into 3 again into 2. So what you are doing here is, decorator is something. Ultimately, decorator is something. It's a function you're calling on top of other function. If you want to call one function on top of other function, that is called as a decorator. Okay, a decorator in Python. Generally, decorators are used to for a wrapper. Okay, mainly it allows to basically wrap one function with respect to other function. This is called as wrapping, right? I just told you display of. So when you want to wrap one function on top of other function, we can use this decorator. Now I'll tell you one use case where I'm using decorator for my system. I'll tell you where I'm using. Okay, I'm using decorator for timing operation, for knowing a time of a function. Okay, so imagine I'm having a function like this: def perform some operation. Some operation it will be performing, some perform operation. I'll just call it as perform operation. And in this, let's assume I want to say for I in range of some 1 lakh, print I. Okay, print I, and return it is returning nothing, maybe return none. Okay, for now. Now I want to know how much time is this function taking. Now, if I want to know that, I can write a time operation here. I can just simply say time, I can simply say, I can import time here. I can import time here. Okay. And I can simply say start time here. Start time is equal to time dot time. Right. And I can end time here. I can do end time is equal to time dot time. Okay. And I can just simply say print end time minus start time. This is one option I can do. Now, if I call this particular function, I'll know, okay, this is taking, okay, wait, print I. Instead of printing I, I'll just pass better. Okay, because it is huge for me. Okay, just a second. Okay. So now it is taking how much time in order to perform this? It is taking this much of time. Okay, if I increase one more zero, maybe it will take this much of time. This much of time, this much of seconds basically. Et minus st means basically I'm starting the time here, ending the time here. I'm doing et minus st to get the time. This is one option. Now imagine I'm having multiple functions of this kind, and I have to know how much time each function is taking. So I have to write this 3 lines of code everywhere. I have to start time, end time, and print the time. For every, imagine I'm having hundreds of functions. I have to write this 3 lines of code everywhere. Yes. What if I wrap it using time operation? And that is what I can do. So what I will do is I will create a 1.4 function called as def calculate time. Calculate time. I'll create a one more function called as calculate time. In this, I will send this function as input, whatever function I'm working on, and I'll wrap this out. Okay, I'll apply the wrapper. So I'll just say def wrapper function. In the wrapper function, what I will do is I will start time. I will call this function inside the wrapper. Okay, I'll get the output here, some output, and end the function, and return the output, whatever output it is returning, x, some output, and also I'll print here only. So whatever 3 lines of code here I'm having, I'm calling this, printing this, ending this, and returning the output, and returning the wrapper. Once you define this is template function, guys. Once you define this function, you can apply this function for anything. Now I can also write like this. You can also get the function name. Okay, let me call the function. I should call the function something like this. Now what happens is you can also give the function name. You can say, you can write like this: function dot underscore name underscore. If you'll get the name of the function, if you write this, you can say took or time taken for this function is this many seconds. You can print like this. Now this is a generalized thing. Now whatever function you write in future, you can use this function to calculate time. Now what I will do on top of my, okay, I'll import time on the top. So observe carefully. Now on top of my perform operation function, I'll just wrap this out. I'll put @ calculate time. And now you can see it is, you can see perform operation, time taken, how much. So how did I get perform operation? You can say function name dot underscore. This is how you can get a function name. You're sending a function inside this. You're sending a function. You're printing the function inside the wrapper. So it took this much of time taken, and I'll also write seconds. It took this many seconds. Now the good thing about this wrapper is this particular calculate time is, now tomorrow I'm having some other function. Let's assume tomorrow I'm having maybe add n integers. Okay, integers. Now let's assume, say, for I in range of some 1 lakh, and you'll just add like this, I plus 1 is plus 1. Okay, and return I. Let's assume you're returning I. So now in this function, now this is a different function. But if you want to know how much time this function is taking, again you can use calculate time. So once if you define this wrapper, you can call this on top of this. And the good thing here is, when you call this function, it will also print it for you and also give you the output. Now if you see the output here, output is equal to, carefully observe, output is equal to, you'll be getting the same output, but you'll also get the time. Now let's wait. It is taking some time internally, but it will calculate the time, and also it will give, now you can see, add integer this much time. And if you say output, you can see you got the output also. This is the output I. It returned the output, and also it is printing. You can see I wrote a generalized function. But I'm using it for different tests. Like this, you can define this function. You can have the decorator. So decorator is nothing but you can actually wrap one function on other function. Okay, that is what decorator is. We say decorating. Decorate means what? Decorate one function on the other function. So decorate, you're decorating calculate time on top of perform operation function. You're decorating calculate time on top of add in integers function. So once you define the function, you can decorate, you're creating a decorator. So we can directly call like this. But your original output will be as it is. Means you're not calling calculate time here. You're calling add in integer. But on top of add in integer, it is also calling calculate time. That is the main goal of decorator. That is the reason two functions are called. Now, whatever calculate time is returning, whatever this function is returning, this function is nothing but the calculate, that is add an integer. The same thing is returning by the wrapper, but extra things you're performing, the generalized things. Now, this calculate time can be used in multiple places. That is what decorator is all about. Okay. Makes sense? Understood everyone what is decorators? What is decorators is clear? Anyone having any questions with respect to, calling one function on top of other function, wrapping one function on top of other function is decorators, right? Make sense? Make sense everyone? Anyone having any questions? Now, if you want to send arguments in this, now you might have a question like, what if I want to send some arguments inside this? Now, imagine this value I want to send as an argument n. So you can just take n here and put n. And whenever you want to send the argument, guys, in the wrapper, also you can put the arguments. Like you can mention n here in the wrapper. Then what happens? This also will take the arguments. Now it is asking for the arguments. Let me provide some 10,000 here. Now you can see. No, sorry. Oh, sorry. We have to send this n here again. In the wrapper, you have to put n here, and you can just do this. Same thing. You're getting the output. Same thing. And time taken is this much. So if you want to send the arguments also, you can do. But if you want to send the arguments in the wrapper, you have to include that argument in the wrapper, inside the wrapper function. Here, calculate time can take the function, but inside the wrapper, you have to put this function. That's it. Okay. That is a goal. That is the main goal. But the main goal of the wrapper and this function is you can use it for n number of things. Now, imagine in this particular function, you don't have arguments, but in this particular function, you have arguments. Now, if you call perform operation, it will not work. It will say wrapper missing one because you have changed it now. So in this case, the intelligent thing what you can do is you can add the positional arguments, like variable length argument. You can add like this args. So you can make the arguments optional like this. You can add args. You can use the power of variable length argument. You know what is variable length argument? Now you can use star and put args here. Then now it will be generalized function. Means what? Even though if you don't give wrapper, it will work. I mean, even though if you don't give arguments, it is working. If you give arguments also, it will work. So again, you make it generalized. Just put args here. That's it. If you put args, Even though if you don't give arguments also it will work, because arg is nothing but variable length argument. If you want to give argument also it will work. Again, now calculate time can be used for both the cases, with argument and without argument. Like that you can play with this. See, once you know one topic now, and if you're able to combine other topics, you can play with this. This is decorators. Okay. Make sense, everyone? What is decorator? Clear, everyone, with decorators? Yes. Understood? Decorators? Yes. One function, calling one function on top of other function, wrapping one function on top of other function is decorators. Okay. So this is also Moses interview question. That is the reason, I just wantedly took some time for this. And generator function, have you used generator function by any chance? Generator function? Decorators, just now we have learned. Have you used generators anytime? What is generators? Generator function? Have you used generator? For making number of iterations once at a time. Yes, correct, correct. If you want to, so do you know which keyword is used for generator, guys? When you're working with functions, yes, yield. This is again a question you'll ask, yield. So they'll ask you what is yield keyword, how do you use yield keyword? So yield is a function, yield is a keyword. So if anyone are not sure about this, please explore this. So generator function also very important. So generator function means if you're running a for loop inside the any function, and if you want to, do one iteration at a time, like you want to yield, so you'll be using yield keyword. If you remember, we have used generators in the Keras image generator function, image generator, if you remember. Okay. So explore this generator function. Okay, you will be using yield keyword for this. Very good. Means you're generally, whenever you're returning from a function, here, whenever you're returning something from a function, for example, you're returning this I, you will be using return. Now, in this, what you will do is inside the for loop, you will return yield. You will write yield, and this becomes a generator function. If you write yield keyword, if you write this yield keyword, it becomes your generator function. Okay, this becomes your generator function. But how do you use this? What is the use of this? You explore once. Okay. So because you have a lot of things to discuss, but you can explore. Then next, what is the difference between shallow and deep copy? Anyone? Shallow and deep copy. Anyone tried it out? Anyone explored what is shallow and deep copy? Okay. I'll tell a small example. Okay. Anyone know what is the use of copy function? What is the use of copy function? Have you ever used copy functions? Have you ever used copy function? Okay. If no, guys, yes. When you want to copy only values but use different memory, yes, we'll be using copy function. Exactly. For example, if you're having a list something like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, generally, if you want to copy this list to other variable, so maybe you will say L copy. Okay. L underscore, maybe L underscore C will say. If you directly do like this, what is the disadvantage in this approach? If you copy, what is the disadvantage in this approach? What is the disadvantage in this approach? Both copies will point to same memory, correct? So if you want to print the memory address, you can use ID here. If you use ID underscore LC, you can see it is pointing to this address. This is the address. And if you see ID of L, you can see the address. You can see both address are same. And because of this, what happens is, if you make some changes in L, now this is your L, 1, 2, 3, 4, and LC also is also 1, 2, 3, 4. Now both are pointing to same address. Now if you make some changes in L, even LC also will get changed. Observe. If you make some changes in L, if I do L of 2 is equal to 5, means I'm making some changes in L, you can see. Now the second element changed to 5. Even LC also is getting changed. Even though we are not changing LC, even LC is also getting changed. Then what is the use of making copy? Now, if I don't do like this, and if I use copy function, if I do L dot copy, this both will be pointing to different address. Only the item should be copied, but point to different address. You can see both are pointing to different address. Can you see this? Now, if you make some change also, it will not get reflect. That is the main goal of copy. This is copy. This is called as shallow copy. This is called as shallow copy. Whatever you're having. Now, what is deep copy means? This is called as shallow copy. Okay, copy the first variable. Now, what is deep copy means? Deep copy will be helping when you it will be helpful when you're working with internal variables like this. Now, in that list only, you're having one more list, as imagine. In this list only, you're having one more list like this, list of lists. Okay. Now let's do like this. Okay, you'll do lc.l.copy. This is shallow copy. You're doing a shallow copy. Now this is your lc and this is your l. Okay, two are same right now. Now if I do l of 2, l of 3, sorry, l of 1, I'll say for now, is equal to 5, is equal to 10. So this element got changed, but the original value is as it is. Fine. But if I change something in this list, inside the list, let's see what happens. So how do I change inside something in the list? You can say 0, 1, 2 now. So if I say L of 2, L of 2 will get this list you'll get. Now if I do L of 2 of 0 is equal to some 10, observe carefully. And if you see your L right now you can see inside this list, you're changing an element. Inside the list, you're changing the element. Nested list, yes. Inside the list, you're changing the element. Now let's see what happens to LC. Is LC is also getting changed? Is LC is also getting changed? Observe. So this is the problem of shallow copy. Shallow copy will only copy the upper elements, not the nested elements. Nested elements will still have some linkage. Okay, nested elements will be having still linkage. So even though you are doing a shallow copy, or even though you're doing a copy function, see, when you change this is not getting changed. Fine. But when you change the internal nested list, this is getting changed because internal element still is pointing to some same variables. So if you want to do deep copy, so you should, instead of doing shallow copy, you should do deep copy. How do you do deep copy? Something like this. Import, copy. For that, you have to use copy function. Import, copy, import. There is a function called as deep copy. Okay, there is something called as deep copy. Okay, you have to copy, you have to use that. So, okay, sorry, from copy, import deep copy. Then what you can do, then you should do like this. Okay, LC is equal to, first let me declare LC, L as first variable. Now you should do LC is equal to copy, sorry, deep copy of L. Then it will work. Then it will do deep copy. Deep copy means even the internal elements also, if you change, it will not change. Okay, let's see that. Now I'll just say L of 2 of 0 is equal to 10. Okay, now if you see L, you can see the element got changed, but LC will be as it is. LC is that is. This is the difference between shallow copy and deep copy. Okay, so shallow copy is nothing but it's mainly copy. You can tell like this. Now how to answer in the interview. Okay, you've seen the example now. How to answer in the interview. Okay, so you can say that. Okay, so basically, if you don't do copy, generally when we don't do copy, both the data structures will point to same address. Both the variables will be pointing to same address. And what is the effect of this means? If you change one data type, it will automatically affect the other data type, which is, the problem. That is the reason we should do shallow copy. In shallow copy, the nested elements are not, again, nested elements are still pointing to same address. The problem with shallow copy is the nested elements in the data structures are still pointing to same address. To avoid that, we can do deep copy. So deep copy will also, the name says deep. Deep means even nested elements. Even nested elements are also pointing to see different addresses. That is what deep copy is. Okay, that is the main difference between shallow and deep copy. Got it, guys? Got it? Understood, everyone? Yes. Next. What is a module in Python? What is a module in Python? Module. What is a module in Python? Can I say library? Library. What is a module or library in Python? What is library or module in a Python? Module or library in a Python? what it has. Can I say a library of module is nothing but set of various functions and attributes, functions and various functions and some variables? Yes, obviously, right? A lot of functions. It has predefined functions for specific tasks. Okay. What is the difference between import and from? I guess this part you know, right? If you want to import something, import a class or a function, then you will be using from. If you want to import directly, you will use import. Okay. Package or module both are same, guys, but they are used in different terms. That's it. Package means you can say a package can contain multiple modules also sometimes. We can say a group of modules is also considered of my package. For example, you say TensorFlow. TensorFlow is a package which has multiple modules. Keras is one module in TensorFlow, or pre-processing is one module in TensorFlow, like that. So group of modules, we can say it's a package. For example, in Matplotlib also, we're having PyPlot and PyLab as one module, like that. Okay. And what is namespace in Python? What is namespace in Python? Anyone? What is namespace in Python? Namespace. What is namespace in Python? So basically, guys, you can see some Python keywords, right? You know from Python keywords like alien length, you see some alien length or print. These are keywords, right? So these are assigned some namespace, okay, such that they are unique and they don't get used again. Means if you are using length in something else, it is not allowed, or you cannot use Python keywords there. Okay, those are called as namespace. So go deep dive. There is a different, there is some definition of namespace. So explore this. Okay. Next, what is a class in Python? What is a class in Python? Class contains what? What is a class in Python? Hmm. We can say blueprint. We can say blueprint. Correct. Blueprint of a task. Collection of methods and attributes. We can say collection of methods and attributes. It's a blueprint of blueprint of your task, or blueprint of a task. Okay, we can say that. So you can have multiple definitions. So you can just means according to your understanding, you can give. Mainly, you can say class is used to define set of various methods and attributes for performing a module or performing a task. So whenever you say a module can define based on a class, something like that. Okay. Next, what is inheritance? What is inheritance in Python? What is inheritance? Yes. One class inheriting the properties of the another class, we call it as parent class, is called as inheritance. And what we are achieving in inheritance, basically, due to the inheritance, a child class can access the properties of the parent class. Correct? Child class deriving the properties from the base class to the child class is nothing but inheritance. Okay. And polymorphism. In polymorphism, you will be getting two things. What are that? Method overloading, method overloading. You can focus on that. Next, encapsulation. These all are the OOPS concepts. Explore that. Okay. Next, context manager. What is context manager? Have you used context manager? Context manager. I've used context manager previously. Did you use a keyword called as with in Python any time? Did you use keyword called as with in Python every time? With like with open, especially in file handling. Did this with open file name? Yes. Yeah. So this with is nothing but the context manager. This with is nothing but the context manager. So whenever you do something with keyword means why it is called as context manager, because you are maintaining the context. Means by using with, what is the main use of with in you're opening a file, and by using with, you don't need to close the file. Automatically it will maintain the context. Okay, so explore more about this. If you are using with keyword, that is context manager. Next, I guess you have worked with try and except block, in exception handling, right? So you should understand what is try block used for, what is except block used for, what is finally block used for, right? So in try block, you will be writing the code, correct? In try block, you will be writing the code, and if the exception occurs, it will go to except block, and after all the process is done, it will go to finally block. for the last final operations. Okay, explore this. Okay, next, what is the difference between pass, continue, and break keyword? These differences you want. So anyone, what is break and what is continue? So break is used to break a loop, right? To whenever you're running a loop and if you want to stop at between, you can break. Continue is to skip the iteration, to skip the next process, right? If you want to skip the next process in a loop and continue the next iteration, you can go with continue. Break is terminating, correct? And pass is just to, pass that block of statement. Means if you don't want to write anything in the block of statement, you can write pass. For example, in this particular function, if I don't want to write anything inside this particular function, if I don't want to write anything, I can just write pass, right? It can be fine. But without writing, if you write like this, it will throw an error. If you put pass, it will ignore. I mean, it does nothing. Means if you don't want to write anything in the block of code, you can write pass. That's it. Okay. This is very important, guys. What is the difference between is and equal to? What is the difference between is and equal to in Python? When you is and double equal to, for comparison, for example, you say A is B or A double equal to B. So what is used? Okay. Which is used? Okay. Fine. Very good. Okay. Nice. Okay. So basically, is equal to, first thing tells us for condition, whether it is used, whether it is having same condition, I mean, same variables or not. For example, 10 is equal to 10, if it will return true. But is, we'll also check whether they are pointing to same memory. Just now we have seen ID, na? Just now we have seen ID, correct? So if you do L is equal to L, okay, here L and LC. If I do like this, so if I say L is LC, so that will also tell us whether they are pointing to same address or not. Yes, they are pointing to same address, right? Now, if I do just copy, okay, if I just do copy and do like this, now they are false. Means they are not pointing to same address. But if I do double equal to, then what happens is they will be still true. Means equal to, double equal to, check for whether they're equal or not, whether the values are equal or not. Here the values are equal or not. This will check for memory, not only values, memory. Are obviously, if the memory are equal, automatically value will be equal, right? You know this. Memory are pointing to same address, right? That is the idea. Okay, is and equal to. Next, shallow copy and deep comparison. Actually, shallow and deep comparison, you can assume like same. Uh, whatever you have seen in shallow copy, deep copy, here also comparison. If you compare the net, even the internal objects also, then that is called as deep comparison. Next, what is list comprehension in Python? Have you used list comprehension any time? I guess you have used it. Many times you might use it. List comprehension. A for loop inside list, something like this. Like, for I in L, this one. This is nothing but list comprehension. Okay. In the same way, tuple comprehension. Okay. And explore these functions, guys. Map function in Python. Okay. Reduce function in Python. Filter function in Python. Zip function in Python. Sorted function in Python. Join function in Python. Join function in string, actually. We can say in string. Okay. Split function in string. So explore these functions. I mean, they might not ask you this deep level, but I'm just telling you, just, we are just checking this out, all the outputs. Okay. Just explore. These are different functions in Python you can explore. Okay. Now, apart from that, Format function have you used format function in string? Have you used format function in Python? Yeah, sorry guys, there was a power interruption. Let me share my screen. Yeah, is my screen visible now? Is my screen visible? Am I audible now? Yeah, yeah. So have you used format function in Python? Like, for formatting, for adding dynamic values in string, dynamic string, like f you'll be using inside before the string. So if not, explore that. Then regex patterns. I guess if you have seen when you're working with NLP and all those things, we have explored about regex. So that one. And have you ever worked with virtual environments in Python? Have you worked? Yes, regular expressions, correct. Have you ever worked with virtual environments in Python? If not, right, explore. If not, explore about virtual environments. So what is virtual environment means? If you want to maintain different projects, and if you want to have a separate environment, a virtual environment for each project, which is having its own libraries, its own versions, then we will be maintaining a virtual environment. Means, for example, imagine you are having two or more projects implementing. Imagine in your system only, in your system, you are implementing project one, okay, and project two. Okay, two projects or two modules in the same project, imagine. Now, project one needs NumPy, imagine, I'm just giving an example, NumPy version 1.20, and imagine project 2 needs NumPy version uh, NumPy version 1 like 2.1. Now, can we run these two projects in a same system if you are using directly normal Python? No. So in that case, what you do is you create a two virtual environments. You will create a virtual environment here for this particular project, and you will be having your own packages here, own libraries and own versions, and you will create one more virtual environment here. So like that, you can maintain different virtual environments such that you can manage two different projects, two different modules in a single go. Okay, so you can explore about that virtual environments, how to create virtual environments in Python. In Anaconda also, you're having Conda environments. Because you're working with Anaconda platform now, you'll be having using Anaconda also. You can create Conda virtual environments. So just explore about that. And here you're having some tasks. So you can just look into this, some programming questions. So one more important question, one more important thing I want to say here is, see, whatever we are discussing this, all these questions are the theoretical questions in Python. Okay. Now your theoretical questions will be of this type only. So you have to explore and do it. Now in Python, guys, in the Python interview, along with theoretical questions, you might, in the Python interview, I mean, whenever they're doing the technical discussion, whenever they're doing the technical interview, in the Python interview, not only theoretical questions, you'll be getting some theoretical questions, well and good. So whatever questions we have discussed, similar kind of questions you'll be getting. You'll be getting all the theoretical questions, you'll be able to answer. Along with theoretical questions, in the interview itself, they might ask you to write the code. They'll give a problem statement. Okay. They'll give a problem statement, and your job is to write the code for the problem statement live on spot, okay, in front of them. This task is separate, but now what you should do is, in the interview only, they'll give an environment to you, and in that environment you should write the code in front of them, and it will be simple. I mean, simple to, it can go up to mid level. Again, it depends upon the company you're going with. If you're going with a service based, or basic basics, like normal company, then the coding level will be up to basic level. But if you're going if you're going for a product based MNC or something like that, they might go for a more complex coding also. So for that reason, guys, actually here I'm having some examples here. So I'll be sharing this PDF with you. Here I have collated all the most asked programming questions from basic to advanced. You can see, write a Python program to find out largest among three numbers. Okay, write a Python program to check whether a number is even or odd. Like that, I'm having so many problems here, the question, answer, and the explanation. I'll be sharing this PDF with you. So my suggestion to you is, first, without seeing the answer, go through questions and try to write the code by yourself. Okay, that will be first improving your skills. Whatever programming question you are seeing in this PDF, you first see this. Okay, write a Python program to find out the sum of all the prime numbers up to given number. Okay, you see this question, right? Now open your Jupyter notebook or any other Python environment, go there and start writing the code. Okay, and then based on whatever you see, just come back and see what is the code here and see the explanation, and then it will make up and see and then you can understand, okay, where exactly you're lagging, or where exactly you're doing, like in the same way. So there are a lot of examples here. Almost, if you see here, approximately almost I've collated 49 problem statements in total. Okay, different problem statements. I'll share this PDF with you. So just go through this. Okay, go through this such that you'll be better in terms of programming. Apart from this, what I would recommend is, I guess if you have heard about this lead code, I guess you might heard about this website called as lead code. So for a data scientist, guys, at least you should complete easy problems in lead code. Try to complete easy problems. Easy, you'll be having, you in the lead code also, you'll be having easy, medium, hard. Okay, three types of problems. Try to complete easy first. If you complete easy, I guess you'll be good in programming there. So try to complete easy problems first. And if you are, then if you are still want to further go, then you can go for medium. If you're targeting big level companies, go for medium, easy and medium. Okay, try to complete this in the lead code. So what I would recommend is, see, theoretical questions, we are already doing it. I have shared you. Similar kind of questions only you will be getting. So if you are good with basic Python, you'll be able to answer these theoretical questions. All these theoretical questions you can easily answer if you're good with basic Python. But after that, you will be obviously getting this programming questions, right? You'll be getting this programming questions. For programming questions, you should practice a lot and lot. So to make yourself in good in logical understanding and everything. So yes, so practice that, and do this whenever you're having free time. Okay, that is regarding the Python. Now after Python, your next questions will be related to statistics, and statistics will be completely theoretical. Python will be somewhat practical, means Python will be somewhat coding you should write, but statistics will be completely theoretical, So like, what is the general questions, like how do you clean and pre-process data before analysis? What type of analysis, what type of checks you will do before before analysis? Maybe you can say, I'll handle missing values, if any, or maybe if there are any garbage information, I'll remove them. If there are any, by using regex pattern, I'll remove the garbage information. Maybe if there is any outliers, I'll handle them. All these things you can mention here. How do you clean the pre-process the data? Then what statistical methods you'll be using for analysis? So you can mention, what are the general statistical methods you have used? Tell me, what are the statistical methods? For this, there are multiple answers. I want to listen from you whenever you get this question. What statistical methods do you use for data analysis? Okay, describing about numerical columns. Okay. Now, what you do in describe? Follow-up question. What you do in describe column? Also, describe method. What do you analyze that there? That can be a follow-up question. Yeah, mean median mode. Okay, fine. Mean median mode. So generally, what you can tell here is, whenever statistical method, you can give a generalized answer instead of giving specific answers. You can say that I will perform univariate bivariate analysis. In univariate analysis, I'll go with measure of central tendency, because mean median will be coming under measure of central tendency. You can say I'll be measuring measure of central tendency, measure of spread. I will try to find out dependencies. That's correct. Using some correlation or something like that. and I'll be finding out quartiles and all those things. You can say how the data is distributed, correct? All these things you can mention like a generalized what all things you do. Okay. Next, what is correlation? I guess you know the answer, but if you want to find out the dependency between the variables, especially numerical variables, the follow-up questions can be something like this: what is the range of correlation, right? What is the range of correlation? How do you calculate correlation? How do you compute correlation? Maybe you can say we'll compute using covariance, like that, right? Next, what is your experience? Of course, this is again a specific question to the person. What is your experience on data visualization? So then you can talk about what all things you've done in data visualization, what are the projects you worked on, and all those things. How do you determine which visualization to use for given data set? So again, it depends upon the numerical columns. So if you're having numerical columns and if you want to work with numerical columns, maybe you can go for a box plot, or you can go for histogram for univariate numerical columns. For bivariate numerical columns, you can go for scatter plot, or line chart to compare the two numerical columns. If you want to work with categorical columns, you can go for bar chart, looking at the count, like that. So you can tell like that. So depending upon the columns and depending upon the variables, we can determine the specific visualization. Okay, and depending upon the questions asked, depending upon the use case, you can define the visualization. If the use case is to find out the count or frequency, then you can go for a bar chart. If the use case is about comparing two numerical data and understanding the trend of them, then I can go for scatter or line chart. If the use case is about comparing two categorical data, you can go for a side by side bar chart, or you can go for a cross tab. So like that, you can mention about that. Okay. Then how do you deal with missing data in the data set? I guess you know this answer. There are multiple ways. You can fill with either mean, median mode, or you can drop them. You can predict the missing values, or you can use some other variables to fill this. A lot of things there are. Then how do you handle outliers? Again, here also you can handle outliers by either, uh, that is finding missing value. Is null or any is to find out missing values. But how do you deal with? Deal with means how do you handle them? Okay, how do you handle them? That is a question. Okay, like filling the missing values or dropping them or predicting them, right? You can drop. You can don't no need to tell the function names. Here they don't expect to tell the function names. They expect to tell the technique. What technique you follow? Filling the missing values with mean median mode. That is one option you can tell. Filling them means filling the missing values with central tendency. Then they'll ask you why you fill missing values with mean median mode. You can say the mean median mode are something which represents your entire data in a single number. So we can fill it. We can use that, or you can fill with the nearby values for time series data, right? Or if you're working with, I mean, if you're having some dependency with other columns, you can use that column to predict missing values, something like that. Or you can drop missing values, like that. You can start talk about techniques here, not functions. I don't know about functions. Okay, so don't tell about functions. Okay, yeah. Next, how do you handle outliers? Then again, here also, either you can drop outliers. I will remove outliers. Okay. Again, Z score is for what? For finding outliers, but they're not asking for finding outliers. They're asking to handle outliers. You should be specific there. You should be specific. You can say like this. First, maybe you can say like this. I'll be using Z score or IQR method to find out outliers. That is okay. Like that, you can tell. Okay, I'll use Z score or IQR to find out outliers, and I'll handle them by either removing them if they're very minimal in nature. They're very minimal. If they're very minimal, I'll remove them. And if at all, if they are nearby, with upper boundary or lower boundary, then you can handle outliers. I mean, you can replace outliers, replace them with the nearby values. Yes. Cap them. Yes, cap the values with the nearby values, or replace with center tendency, or cap them with the nearby values, or remove them. Like you can use this technique called as vensorization. You can tell vensorization is technique for capping. Okay, trimming. Yeah. Next, how to detect and handle multicollinearity? Yes. How do you detect and handle multicollinearity in the data? How do you detect it and handle it? This is again one more important famous question. How do you detect and handle multiple collinearity in the data? How do you detect and handle multicollinearity in the data? Yeah, but only heat map can be used for different things. Heat map is again a generalized answer. I can use heat map to find out crosstab also. But crosstab will be helping us to identify multicollinearity? No. Heat map is a visualization technique. Yes, we can detect using correlation. So whenever you're saying heat map, you should not say heat map. You should say, I will use heat map with correlation. Because heat map can be used for multiple things. You should say, I'll use heat map with correlation and I will detect the multicollinearity. I'll say that, okay, I will see how one variable is depending upon the other variable. And how do we handle them? Yes, you can handle them using combining multiple columns. Yes, dropping them. That's correct answer. You can drop them or combining. And how do you handle them? There is also one more option actually to detect and handle them. There is an option called as, if you have not explored it, there is an option called as VIF method, variance inflation factor. Variance inflation factor to identify the multicolor, to detect the multicolority along with correlation. Correlation is there. Along with correlation, you can explore about VIF, variance inflation factor, to identify the multicollinearity. Okay, explore that. So to detect, so if you say VIF, it will be, you can impress them a lot. I mean, correlation is the most common thing always used, but VIF is a special one. So you can say that I'll be using either correlation or VIF method to detect the multicollinearity. Then they'll ask you, what is VIF? So not only telling VIF, you should tell what is, you should also answer this. What is VIF? How VIF works? So explore that. Okay. Then how do you handle them? Yes, by dropping or by combining columns. Like if two columns are having any multicollinearity, either you'll drop one of the column or you'll just combine them logically. That's a good thing. Next, explain about central limit theorem. Right? You can explain about them, how central limit theorem works. Then what is your experience on hypersystem? If you're having any, if you want to show any hypersystem experience, you can tell that, or you can say, I don't have much experience in hypersystem, but I have used it. I learned about it. So you can tell about that. Then why do you perform chi-square test, chi-square test? So tell me guys, when do you perform chi-square test? Why do you perform chi-square test? In which situations? In which situations you'll perform chi-square test? When you're comparing categorical versus categorical data, if you want to understand, yes, if you want to understand the relationship between categorical and categorical data, if you want to test for dependency between categorical column, you can go for chi-square test. ANOVA test, when do you go for ANOVA test? When you're comparing a numerical with categorical, correct? When you want to test a dependency between numerical and categorical, you can go for ANOVA test. Next, what is the p-value? Probability value, p-value in hypersystem, significance level of p-value. How do you define? Okay. What is difference between type 1 and type 2 error in hypersystem? What is type 1 error, type 2 error in hypersystem? What is confidence interval? Right? What is confidence level and what is confidence interval? How do you define confidence interval? Right? 95% confident, 95% confident, 90% confidence interval. What is difference between population and sample? Very important question. Okay. Population means all items of interest. Sample means what? A part of population, right? What is confidence interval means, what your answer? What is confidence interval? So then you can talk about interval. When you say confidence interval, when you get this question called as confidence interval, you can talk about interval estimate. So generally, when you're calculating mean or median, how do you calculate mean or median? You'll say mean is this much. Mean is 10,000 or 20,000. But interval means you're saying that your mean will be in this range to this range, and confidence indicates how much confident are you. So uh, interval estimate with a confidence level is nothing but confidence interval. Okay, you're doing an interval estimate of any statistic. Interval estimate, like you say, my mean is ranging from this range to this range with this confidence value. Okay, that is called as confidence interval, right? So significance level also same thing. It is 1 minus confidence level, right? Which tells us where is your critical regions. You can talk about critical regions in this, in the p-value concept. And type 1 and type 2 error, you can say what is, you know, when you'll accept null hypothesis, alternate hypothesis, Then what type of errors occurs? Type 1 and type 2. We can talk about that. Okay. Then what is Z score? How it is calculated, right? How many deviations you're having from the mean? How many standard deviations you're having from the mean? That is called as Z score, right? The number of standard deviations from the mean is called as Z score. Z score can be given to every data point in the data set. Correct. And how it is calculated? X minus mu divided by standard deviation, right? Next, what is ANOVA? Analysis of variance. ANOVA test. How it is used? It is used to compare to a numerical and categorical column, right? Then what is skewness? What is kurtosis? Right? Skewness is to measure, how the data is skewed, how the data is actually, whether the data is skewed at left side or right side, whether the whether the data is symmetric or not symmetric. If the data is not symmetric, either it might be left skewed or right skewed. So to identify that, how the data is distributed, we will go for skewness. Kurtosis. Kurtosis talks about the height. Skewness talks about the width. Height distribution. Height distribution is kurtosis. Okay, that kind of questions. What is normal distribution? How it is used statistics, right? Symmetric distribution is called as normal distribution, right? Which is also called as well-shaped curve. Correct. All these keywords you should speak, like well-shaped curve, symmetric distribution, and you can say in normal distribution, 50% values will be before the mean, 50% values after the mean. It is used for various things. It is used to it is used to do hypersesting. Normal distribution can be used for hypersesting. It is used in machine learning for in many algorithms for for checking whether it is normally distributed, and based on that we can remove outliers and all those things. And also it is used to do some statistical measurements, understanding about the data, many things. What is univariate versus multivariate, right? If you're working with only one variable, if you're working with multiple variables. What is confidence level? Here itself we discussed. Confidence level means how much confident you want to be, how much confident you want to be on that particular hypothesis, or how much confident we want to be on respect to the confidence interval, right? So we can choose 90%, 95% confidence level. So all these things you can answer. Next, some data science questions you can see. So what is data science? What programming languages do you know? What is the experience with SQL? Data visualization tools, machine learning algorithms, difference between unsupervised, supervised, right? What is overfitting? All these things, if you see, we have discussed about this. What is overfitting? How it is prevented, right? Overfitting, so what is difference between classification and regression, right? What is bias variance trade-off, right? Bias variance trade-off, if you remember, we discussed about this. I bias means what? I bias means underfitting. I variance is overfitting. So there is always a trade-off between this both. Means if you want to reduce the bias, variance will increase. If you want to reduce the variance, bias will increase. There is always a trade-off. So our model should be such that it should balance this both. So what is bias variance trade-off means? You can answer like this. It is always a trade-off. Trade-off means a competition kind of thing. There is always, when you reduce the bias, variance will increase. When you reduce the variance, bias will increase. So there is always a trade-off between this both. And whenever you're building a model, you should see that its balance is both. Okay. What are the steps involved in data science project? You can say data analysis, data pre-processing, data cleaning, feature engineering, model building, hyperparameter tuning, evaluation, further again tuning, again then deployment. All these topics you can say. Next, what is conversion matrix? How to evaluate? I guess you know this. True positives, true negatives, false positive, false negatives. All these things you can discuss. What is curse of dimensionality? Curse of dimensionality means more number of dimensions. I told you this point now. When you're having more number of dimensions, more columns, it leads to the problem. It leads to, it leads to what? It will lead to what we say. It will lead to overfitting situations. So how do you handle that? You can use PCA, right? You can use PCA. You can remove some unwanted columns. PCA is one option, dimensional reduction, right? And you can use correlation and also can remove some more columns and all those things you can say. Um, then what is the difference between L1 and L2 regularization? Lasso and Ridged. Lasso and Ridged. This is Ridged and this is, sorry, this is Lasso and this is Ridged. Difference, I guess you know this. How gradient descent works. We'll discuss about that. We already discussed about that, right? Gradient descent. So you can say it's an iterative algorithm which mainly works on optimizing a function, correct? Next, how can a missing values can be handled? This one already we discussed. Feature engineering. Feature engineering means feature engineering are generalized terms. So all the data pre-processing you perform, like missing values handling, or not encoding, adding more features, deriving more features, all this comes under feature engineering. Means engineering means what? Applying some techniques, modifying some techniques, right? Features means what? Inputs. So applying some techniques, modifying some features to improve the model is nothing but feature engineering. This involves various steps like one-hot encoding. PCA is also one of the feature engineering technique. Extracting new features, correct, and modifying existing features, deriving existing features, or not encoding, scaling. All these are feature engineering techniques only. Okay. Next, PCA, dimensional reduction we discussed, when it is used. NLP, okay. Sentiment analysis, deep learning. What is deep learning? How it is different from this one also we discussed. How deep learning is different from machine learning, right? Mainly for larger data. For mainly, you can say that deep learning is mainly used is basically a neural network based, whereas machine learning is simple, statistical mathematical based. And mainly deep learning is used for complex problems, for complex situations, when you want to go deeper in terms of learning, whereas in traditional machine learning, for simple use cases, simple problems, you can go for machine learning like that. Okay. What is neural network, how it works? You can answer this. What is back propagation algorithm? That is very important. How back propagation works, how the weights are getting updated. Okay. How to train a neural networks? What is CNN? How it is used in image recognition? What is RNN? Right? How it is in natural processing? What is transfer learning? We discuss about transfer learning, right? Reinforcement learning, again, it is optional. But if you are, we already discussed about reinforcement learning once. You can tell about that, but then you might not ask. I mean, you might not get deeper questions on that. Okay. And what is clustering? How it is used in unsupervised learning, right? How clustering works. They'll ask you some questions. K means clustering, hierarchical clustering. Okay. Next, decision tree. How decision tree works. What is decision tree? How decision tree builds. What is random forest? How it is using machine learning. Sorry. Yeah. Next, what is difference between gradient descent and stochastic gradient? We discussed about this in our this one, right? Deep learning. Gradient descent versus stochastic gradient descent, right? What is SVM, right? What is regularization, logistic regression, naive Bayes, ensemble learning, okay? Bias variance trade-off is already there. Cross validation. What is CV? Cross validation. We discussed about this. What is difference between decision tree and random forest, right? Decision tree means only one tree, but in random forest, you'll be building multiple trees with different samples, random samples, right? What is clustering? Okay. Confusion matrix, we have discussed. Hypothesis testing, central limit theorem. Okay. All these questions. And deep learning, some questions. What is neural network? All these things already we have seen. What is dropout? Batch normalization, we have not discussed, but that is one thing. What is difference between perceptron and neural network? Perceptron means one neuron. If you're having only one neuron in the hidden layer, that is called as perceptron. Okay. Neural network means group of multiple neurons, multiple layers. If you're having only one neuron, it's called as perceptron. Only one neuron in the hidden layer. Okay. One hidden layer and one neuron. That's it. The other name is perceptron? You can note down this keyword. Okay. What is loss function? We have discussed various types of loss functions, if you remember, like, categorical cross entropy, binary cross entropy, MSC. Why do we use loss function? To calculate the error between actual value and predicted value. It is also used to update the weights, right? How it is using training neural network? It is using gradient descent, right? It is using gradient descent. We calculate how this loss, how this error is affecting the weights and everything, or weights or the target input, and it is used to update the weights. What is difference between dense layer and convolution layer? You know this answer, right? Dense layer means it's a neural network layer with neurons, with just a neurons which update the weights based on the data, which learns the data. In convolution layer, it is a 2D matrix kind of thing. You'll be having filters. So difference between dense and in convolution layer, what will be having? We'll be having filters, correct? You'll be having filters to detect the features from the images. That is what we'll be having in convolution layer. But dense layer is just to map the relationship between the input and output. You'll be having weights which will be mapping the relation between input and output. But convolution layer we'll be having specialized filters with a 2D matrix kind of thing, which extract the features from the information, from the images. So mainly convolution layers is used to extract the information from the images, features from the images, and dense layer is used to learn the features, extracted features. Okay, you can say like that. Next, what is an hyperparameter? We learned about this. Hyperparameter is something which developers will tweak or tune to improve the model performance. Okay, what are the different type of parameters in hyperparameters? You can say, like, what are the different hyperparameters in neural network? What are the different type of hyperparameters? Like, number of hidden layers, number of neurons, activation function, regularization techniques, optimizers, learning rate. These all are the hyperparameters in the neural networks. Epochs, all these things. Then what is the difference between sigmoid and ReLU activation function? I guess this one, ReLU what it does, and sigmoid. Sigmoid is the range of 0 to 1. It is used for binary classification in the output layer. ReLU is used in the hidden layers. It will, it is used for what we say. It is used to avoid negative values, and it is better in use for gradient descent, right? L1, L2 regularization we have seen. Feed forward. What is the difference between? Yeah, the difference between a normal neural network and the recurrent neural network. I guess this also we have discussed in RNN, right? Normal feed forward neural network. What happens? The input, whatever we are getting, whatever output we are getting, doesn't depends upon the next input. That there is no dependency on the current input and the next input, current output and the next input. But in recurrent neural network, you create the dependency. That is the main difference. You create a dependency between the current output and the next input, right? So you create that time difference. That is recurrent neural networks. So these are the few questions, guys, and these are not limited to these questions. A lot of questions you can get. You can search online. You can search in ChatGPT. But few questions. I just want to give you a sense of what kind of questions can be asked and what kind of things can be asked. So I hope you got a clarity on what type of questions. Yes, I will be sharing all these things. I'm just giving an example of what type of questions can be asked and all those things. And also, guys, along with the coding problems, I also have the coding problems for the data structures, specific to data structures, because most of the questions can be asked, uh, coding questions can be on data structures. So I'll be sharing this also with you. Okay. So what I would recommend is, these questions you can prepare, but don't only focus on questions. Okay. Focus on topics. You can see in these questions, a lot of topics are covered, right? So focus on topics. If you focus on topics, you can answer more questions here. Okay. Here I'm having some questions. If I just go on writing another, I can write thousands of questions here. But again, I just covered major topics. For example, in Python, I covered OOPS concepts, data structures, basic file handling. Exception handling and everything, and programming. In data analysis, I covered basic and advanced data analysis. In machine learning, I covered some algorithms like that. Okay, but it is not limited to. It will, you can just go on adding more and more questions. But focus on concepts, focus on topics. You can answer the questions, and yeah. So that is the idea. So once if you're that is how the interview works, guys. So that is how the interview, face-to-face interview, technical interview works. So in the technical interview, these kind of questions will be asked. So it starts from basic and it can go to advanced also. So you should be ready with that. And whenever you are not sure about any question, or if you have not used that anytime, you clearly tell, okay, I'm not sure about that. I've never used it. Or if you are somewhat sure, you can answer that like this. Like you can say, um, I'm not exactly sure about that, but I've used it here. So this is what I know about that. You can tell like that, no problem. Yeah, that is a point. And obviously in HR discussion, you'll be having maybe some kind of, take some discussion related to some behavioral round kind of thing, where, they'll assess your personality. That is again a different concept. Maybe you'll be having salary discussion and, all the leaves and everything discussion, but main focus should be on this rounds. Okay, so that is the idea. So like this. And regarding deployment, guys, in most of the cases for the junior roles, you might not have any question related to deployment. But if you are, you know if you're applying for a senior roles kind of thing, deployment also can be your part of your questions. Then maybe they might ask you what type of deployment frameworks you have used, because deployment can be done using multiple things. They are not generalized. So for example, you can mention that I've used a Docker based deployment. I've developed. Then they might ask you some question related to Docker. like what is Docker? How do you write a Docker files? Okay. Now how do you deploy Docker containers? What is the difference between Docker and virtual machine? What is the difference between Docker and virtual machine? That kind of questions you can ask, and they'll ask you whether you have used any cloud platforms. If yes, what type of cloud platforms you have used? Maybe you say AWS. Okay, what type of services you have used in AWS? Maybe you'll say EC2. Okay, now what is EC2? How EC2 works? What type of server you have used in EC2? All this type of questions you can expect in terms of deployment. Okay, so that is the idea. That's how you can expect your questions. So prepare accordingly. Okay, and yeah. So any questions for you guys? Any question from you? Any questions from you guys? Anyone in this whatever we have discussed? In whatever we have discussed, anyone having any questions? Any doubts? Are we somewhat clear, like what type of questions can be asked and how do we answer these questions? I'll share this all PDFs. I'll be sharing in a drive. Okay, don't worry. Um, anyone having any questions, any doubts? Let me know right now. Okay. So what I would recommend, guys, is first thing, always remember, okay, whenever you are working with, whenever you are working with this one, that is, whenever you're preparing, start preparing for the interviews. First thing you focus on, you know, uh, you should do this parallelly. Okay. First, mainly focus on Python programming. Okay. You'll be getting a lot of questions regarding Python, and mainly in Python, theoretical questions you learn. If you learn the basic Python concepts, you'll be able to do the theoretical questions. And mainly in Python, you focus on practicing problem statements. That is your first step. Okay, done. After that, parallelly, you should do some projects, right? Whenever you are doing projects, you see that you cover majority of things in the projects, and when you're doing the projects only, whatever questions you have discussed till now, that the theoretical questions, those questions you can actually practice, you can think about that. Okay, so if you basically you think about end-to-end concept of data science concepts, and you try to prepare by yourself, then obviously you'll be able to answer questions. And also sometimes you might forget things in interview. That's okay. That's completely okay. You can say, I just forgot this exact point because I've not used much, but I know about this. You can say that. That's okay. That's completely okay. There is not a problem. But yeah, practice as much as possible the projects and everything. Then it will be more clear, and you can clearly answer the questions. That's the point. So mainly focus on implementing some Python based coding questions. And second is mainly focus on the doing some projects. While doing projects only, you will be learning all these concepts, like, all the statistical concepts, all this, whatever concepts we have discussed. While implementing projects only, you will be learning all these things, and go through some questions. That's it. Go through some concepts. That is more than enough for you. You can happily crack the interviews. Okay. So I hope you're clear. Then I'll be sharing this drive link soon. I will create a drive link and share. Okay. Or let me do one thing. Let me create a drive link and share with you empty drive link. And later on, I'll be uploading all these files there. So meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can post in the chat. Just a second. Meanwhile. So regarding 5 years of experience, if you want to show 5 years of experience, see that you are having good, strong portfolio in the project. Okay. And most of your questions will be regarding a project. And you should show a strong portfolio in the project. Okay. Means a good project, end to end. And also some deployment. Okay. So you should spend a lot of time in learning and going deeper. So if you're targeting a service-based company, mainly focus on at least knowing end to end of the project. That will be enough. If you're able to answer end to end about the project, then that will be enough. But if you're targeting a product-based company, though, you have to go deeper into every part. Service-based company with experience, you can manage, but you should show some strong project experience. That's it. Good project you find out and you can add it. I mean, you should have an end-to-end knowledge. I mean, they'll test your end-to-end knowledge on that particular project. That's it. Okay. Now, a real world project, getting a real world project, there is no such websites which give you real world projects. Maybe you can, you know, mm, try to think about any idea and do that. And also, whatever projects generally you see, that you can somewhat convert into a real time. Okay. And also depends upon which company you're planning to. Okay. And also that company, what it works on. Accordingly, you can include the project there. While switching from different technology to data science. So if you are having, see now, if you are working as a data scientist, I mean, if you're switching from different technology, what technology you're, I mean, if you're the technology is related to data science, I mean, somewhat programming. Okay, SAP. Then you are a fresher in a data science. You're considered as a fresher because you'll not work on your programming, right? You're not working on your programming, or if you're having any, if you're showcasing any programming experience, if you're showcasing any programming experience, then you can show some experience. But if you don't have any programming experience or any kind of thing, then it's a fresher. Okay, it's development of SAP application. So which programming language you have used? Okay, okay, ABAP. Okay. Then fine. Then that will be considered as a relevant experience. If you are, using any programming language and you are using some kind of logical implementation, then that can be considered as relevant experience, relevant IT experience, we can say. So whatever experience you're having, you can consider them as you can tell that is my relevant experience, this one. So how much of SAP experience you're having, SAP ABAP experience? Then that entire experience will be your relevant experience itself for, because see, data science also includes programming. Now, whenever you're developing applications using ABAP, so obviously you will be writing some logics and you'll be working on some logics, correct? So that experience you can use in Python also, right? So, they'll consider you, but it depends upon the company, like whether they will really but ideally it can be considered. Enter 5.3 can be relevant. Relevant means, see, you have to show in SAP role, but it's relevant for you. It is relevant for this. You're shifting the career from that technology to this technology, but that experience will be helping me here. That's how you have to project, right? And for intern role, see, I cannot say, Saikiran, it's not number of topics. Okay. They'll cover all the topics. They'll cover Python, data science, machine learning, deep learning, deployment, they'll not much touch into. But apart from deployment, they'll cover all the topics for intern role also. Yeah. Because see, your level of questions will change. Maybe you might get a basic questions there, but they will try to see all topics are covered such that, they'll test the end-to-end knowledge. Okay. Any questions? Anyone? Some cases, yes, they'll consider, but no issue. You post it whenever you are having free time, whenever you are doing, you can post it, no problem. Mainly that deep level, they don't have that much of time to consider all those things. You post it, mainly they look into the work. And see, GitHub, maintaining a good GitHub portfolio is very important. That's it. Now, in short span of time or long span of time, that's okay. That's not a problem. I mean, they might have not have that much of time, but showcasing good projects is enough. That's it. And you should be able to answer that question. Don't worry about all these extra things. Don't do overthinking all these things. Just focus on learning concepts. Okay. Focus on, showing a good portfolio and focus on explaining the projects. That's it. Okay. That should be your main focus. End to end. Be technically strong. That's it. You can easily crack it. Technically, you should be strong. Even if you're showing a fresher role or if you're going for experience role, technically you should be strong. That is what I would say. As much as possible, as much as knowledge you should gain. That is the main important point. Once if you're technically strong, even if you post short span of time or long span of time, if there is a long differences between the project or short differences or what type of projects, everything will be secondary. First primary is how good are you in that particular technology, how good are you in that particular skills, how good are you in that particular so and so implementation. That is what they primarily look into. If you're good in that, then that is more than enough. So focus on that first always. So do practice as much as possible, do projects as much as possible, do programming as much as possible. That will help you to crack your interviews. Right? Yeah. Any questions? Okay. So thank you guys. Then let's close for today. I'll be sharing all these things in a drive link soon. Okay. Uh, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm closing for today.